This video is going to be all about the importance of always being ready. This is especially important being a goalkeeper because if you ever find yourself on the bench or as a backup, there are going to be times throughout the season where you get your opportunity to play and to prove that you are good enough to play and to be a starter, but those times don't come too often. They come few and far between. And your ability to be ready and to maximize those moments is going to be the reason why you do become a starter and you do start playing or you don't. So this brings me back to a story from college of mine. I was a freshman at Wake Forest in 2017. In preseason, I was the backup for the team. I didn't earn the starting spot going into the season. And so we were about 6 games into the season and I was down. I had never really been a backup before. All throughout academy and through high school, I'd always been the starter for my team. So all I knew was just playing games and being the man on my team. And so coming into college, it was a bit of a wake-up call, going through 90-minute games and not playing a single second and not contributing to the success of the team. And so that was pretty difficult for me. So we were about 6-7 games into the season, and I remember we had a Tuesday night game against, I think, High Point. And I remember after the game, we had won, but I had just gotten so frustrated with, again, like I said, not contributing to the team, not playing. And I remember I was on the phone with my parents that night and just talking about, it doesn't feel like I'm ever going to get an opportunity. What's going on? I don't know how to handle this. And, I was pretty in my emotions, feeling down. And just days later, so that was a Tuesday night game. That Friday, we were playing Clemson, which was our biggest game of the season so far. I think we were ranked number 2 and they were ranked number 5. And so, mind you, I haven't played a single second this whole season. We show up to practice Thursday morning, which is the day before the game. And the guy who had been playing over me the whole season so far, he didn't show up, he wasn't there. And so it ended up being that he accidentally slept in and missed practice, but our coach had a big rule that was, if you miss practice, you don't play. So I had an idea that I might have been playing, but on the game day, earlier in the day, our head coach called me into the office and told me, hey, you're gonna get the start tonight. And so I went from days before feeling down on myself, talking to my parents saying, am I ever gonna get an opportunity, to playing in our biggest game of the season so far, only televised game against number 5 Clemson, and we're number 2. So I say all this to say the feelings that come are very understandable when, like I said, not playing those first 7 games of the season. It's in human nature for you to feel frustrated, for you to get angry, but all that matters is how ready you are to play in those moments. So I go back to the Clemson game. I remember standing on that field when the ball kicked off and looking at the sideline, looking at the guy who had been playing over me for the past 7 games, thinking about all the emotions I had felt, how frustrated I was and all of that. And none of that mattered in that moment, not a single bit. Because all that mattered was how ready I was in that moment to do the job for my team and to win the game. So I say this again to say that the feelings that you feel are totally normal. Frustration, totally normal. But it's your job to feel those feelings and then redirect it and to say, how can I be ready for those moments that are coming? I know that are coming. They're just around the corner. Because even if I could have someone who came to me on that Tuesday night and said, hey, you're going to be starting against Clemson in 3 days, I wouldn't have felt the way that I felt. I wouldn't have been crying. I wouldn't have been on the phone with my parents. So my big question to you, Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker, says it all the time. What are you doing in the dark? What are you doing right now to be ready for those moments which are coming, which are just around the corner that maybe you can't quite see right now, but are going to pop up. And when they do pop up, it genuinely is last minute. It's the day before the game. Something goes on. It's not like someone's going to tell you, oh, hey, you're going to start your first game in 3 weeks, so you have 3 weeks to prepare. No, you need to be ready at a moment's notice. My question for you is, how are you specifically preparing for those moments? What are you doing right now to be ready for when it's your opportunity to play? So what does your training look like? How intense are you training on a daily basis? Are you doing extra? These are going to be key to when it is time to play, of how technically ready you are. How are you eating? How is your fitness level? When the game comes, you need to be able to play 90 minutes or even more in certain situations. So you need to be eating well, putting good food into your body, and you also need to make sure that you're fit and you're ready to play a whole game. How are you taking care of your body? Are you stretching? Are you healthy? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. If you're not available and you're not healthy, then you can't even play at all, so it doesn't even matter. So what are you doing to make sure that you are available to train every single day? Are you doing work? Are you doing prehab work before practice? Are you doing stretching afterwards? What are you doing to make sure that you are continually healthy to be ready for those moments? How are you visualizing? Visualization for me is one of the biggest keys to being ready for these moments. What is your routine? How are you doing that on a daily basis to be ready? Are you spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just sitting down in a chair and thinking about, okay, when I do start, what is it going to feel like? How am I going to feel in the goal? What am I going to see in front of me? How am I going to organize my team? What kind of feelings do I want to have? What kind of confidence do I want to bring to my team? Seeing the stadium that you play in, seeing all the details, the fans, because when you get into that moment, if you visualized it and you've been there in your mind, then you're going to be that much more ready and that much more prepared when the moment actually does come, as opposed to if you don't think about it, if you don't visualize, it's going to be all foreign to you in the moment, and then it's going to be even more hard and anxiety-ridden when it does happen. And how are you studying the game, and how are you getting ready tactically? If your team is playing games, if you're in the middle of the season, you need to be watching all of your team's games and understanding how does your team play? What are tendencies of certain players on your team? So when you do step on the field, you understand how you're going to tactically work with the team, because that's another key area that you don't want to skip a beat on. You want to know your left back, where he wants the ball, your center backs, which foot they want you to play to, how hard they want you to play in the pass. And at the end of the day, the emotions are going to come up. You're going to feel frustrated. There's been plenty of games, I think I did the math, there were like 50 games between my freshman and sophomore year that I didn't play in, that I fully dressed and was ready and warmed up and didn't play in. So I understand, if anyone understands, I understand the frustrations that come with not playing and the struggles of being a backup. But like I said earlier, at the end of the day, all that's going to matter is how ready you are in those moments. No one's going to care how frustrated you are or were in the past. All it's going to matter is, again, some of those things we were just talking about. What are you doing to be ready on a daily basis? So like I said, there are too many areas and too many ways that you can be preparing for those moments for you to be worried about not playing, for you to be worried about your coach, for you to be worrying about all the emotions that you're feeling. So I understand how it feels, and it's even something that I continue to fight in my own, career and my own journey. But I think this is just a good reminder for us all that we just need to continue to put in the work on a daily basis. We got to win the day and be ready for those moments, because man, you never know what is just right around the corner. So hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one.